Hi everyone, it's Carla from Casey Creates. I wanted to try and show you my next two tags for the 52 tags handmade. And I'm going to actually try to record on my phone. So I hope this turns out okay. If it does, you'll end up seeing it. If it doesn't, well, I'll have to go back to my webcam. But I have several attempts at week 11, which was to embroider around rings, and they were these anything that was a ring. So what I found was I could take the paper center out of these little hanging tags. I think they're like price tags maybe. Because at first I was like, oh, I can't do this challenge. I don't have any of those rings. And then I did find, that's really actually funny. I was at Hobby Lobby and on the clearance rack, I wish I would have brought it in here, section, they had these little tiny plastic white rings. And I think you use them like to tie back the strings on curtains, or off to maybe use for drawstrings on curtains. But anyway, I found a little package of those marked down to 75 cents. So I thought those were there just for me so I can practice. They ended up being a lot tinier than I was wanting them to be. You can kind of see now because I'm pulling back some of the ribbon on this one, and you kind of see the little white plastic ring. This one, I ended up using a really narrow ribbon. And then this one I used what was kind of like kite string. It was a heavier kind of string. And I just kept practicing on these and practicing on the little price tag ones just by taking the paper out. But I really struggled getting them on neatly. I didn't know how to keep them from twisting. But I did continue. So I made the first tag, and this one has just a simple pink embroidery floss around it, and then I did tiny little white ones and then tiny little pink ones, and these ended up not showing up very well because I put the little daisy flower in the center. But anyway, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 little embroidered rings on this one. And then I just added a bunch of lace applique, and I practiced the blanket stitch around the edge. I've been enjoying doing the blanket stitch on most of the edges of my tags. And then I just wrote, everyone's pretty in pink. I think I told you guys my dad always said if a lady wears pink, she's always beautiful. He just loved seeing my mom in pink, his girls in pink. So I just wrote everyone's pretty in pink, but I really think everything's pretty in pink because it happens to be one of my favorite colors. So I just put a little pink paper enforcer there, or hole enforcer, or whatever it is, protector. So that was the first attempt with the rings, and then I went a little more vintagey. I had a bunch of upholstery fabric, so I made this plaid fabric my base fabric, and it was a nice heavy cotton. And then I embroidered around the 2 smaller rings again and just made them flower centers. And then I went a little, out of the, I just kept doing these French knots right here in the corner, and it became sort of clumpy. So I snipped them and made it kind of a fuzzy little center of the daisy. And then just some straight stitches all around and some lace. And then I put the green viney kind of trim for the tag. And this one I didn't blanket stitch around because I put some of this narrow vintage lace around the edges. But you can see where I added a little bit of green embroidery straight stitch in some of the areas on the tag. I didn't write on this one, but this was 2 of 3 for week 11. And then 3 of 3 was inspired by the lovely Laquita at Pampered Petals, and nowhere near have any of her talent when it comes to beading or embroidery, but the colors reminded me of colors that she uses, and I aspire to one day be able to stitch even slightly as well as she does. So anyway, this made me think of her and some of the color combinations that she uses. And she's doing this challenge, and her tags are so exciting to see. Anyway, this one I embroidered around one of the paper tag rings. And then these I actually dyed yellow, and they didn't end up, when they dried, they looked like Cheerios to me. So then I didn't like them. So I wasn't going to use them at all, but I still wanted to keep practicing. So I put them on this tag. And I ended up really liking this tag. I like that I was able to pick up the gold accents and then add some beads and some metal little embellishments with the leaves. And so this one ended up out a little outside of my color palette that I normally go with, but I really ended up liking it. And so I wrote inspired by Pampered Petals, and this is number 3 of 3 for tag number 11. And then week 12, I just chalked it up to practice, practice, practice. It was the blanket stitch, and I really wasn't having a good time with this one. I started with putting my fabric on a hoop, and I couldn't go on a straight enough line, and so I drew a pencil line and still wasn't really getting them to land where I wanted. So this one is much like the one I did, the what was it called, the bullion stitch. I just went crazy doing it over and over and over. So this was chalked up to practice. I got a little blanket stitch around the edge, and then I added a little bit of canvas fabric. I don't know why my light is flickering. And some more of the canvas fabric here. And then this piece was just another snippet, but it already had some embroidery on it. And then I just kind of framed it with this pretty lace trim. So this week 12 was just doing random blanket stitch in different directions all over. And this is just covering up my needle holes. I think I was going to stitch something there, and I decided not to, but I made this one on my mommy's birthday. We called her fondly Mommy, but she passed away, and this would have been her 84th birthday. So it says Mommy's birthday, March 23rd, kiss kiss, and week number 12. So these are my 3 practice week 11s, week number 12, and they will all go on my hoop here. Maybe after Anne gives the next week's prompt, I'll thumb through all of them again for you. But since I'm doing this on my phone and I'm not even sure how long I have to record, I haven't recorded on my phone in so long that I think I'll let you go now. I hope you're all well. I'm still enjoying seeing your tags. Is everybody still hanging in there? Is anybody throwing in the towel yet? I hope not. Even if you skip a week or two, I hope you'll jump back in and keep the fun going. And I'm going to go for now, but I'll see you again soon. Bye.